Yeah, let's begin. We're going to be exploring this evening a topic that's really interesting for inquiry, something that has a big effect on our inquiry. And that's the question of trust. Like, how much do you trust your experience? How much do you trust that you can allow what's going on for you? So we're going to take a little time to look at that this evening. And quick show of hands, who's new here? Who's coming here for the first time? Okay, a couple of people. Elena, Ivana, Marlene, welcome. Nice to see you. And who is completely new to inquiry? Who hasn't done inquiry before? Okay, Elena. Great. Okay, good. Good. So, as you can tell, there's people then with a wide range of experience here. So some people are new, and some people I know have been doing it for many years, even decades. And this is a forum really to explore this beautiful practice of inquiry. So we meet once a month, and each month we go into some nuance of the practice, some little detail, either to give you a taste of it, to help people get a sense of it, or to help people who are already engaging with the practice to refine their practice, to learn a little bit more about the practice. So inquiry is a way of diving into your inner world and exploring what's there. And of course, because a human being's inner world is so rich and there's so much to explore, it's a practice that you can just keep learning about. And that's what we see here, all the different, so many different angles. So we've been going for about, I think, coming up for 3 years or something like that. We've got a whole back catalog of sessions that you can see on our YouTube channel. So please feel free to go and check those out if you, especially if you're new. There's many different topics that are addressed that might be interesting for you. And yeah, so a reminder that this is a public forum and it is recorded. So we record the main meeting space that you're in now and use that to create the videos on YouTube. There will be a chance to do an exercise a little later on, and the exercise is not recorded. So nothing that happens in the exercise is recorded. And then we'll come together again for some questions and comments and sharing, and that will once again be recorded. So just bear that in mind in terms of what you bring and discuss. So we're going to begin, as we do usually, with a short practice. And I'm going to invite you into a short meditation practice. So find a comfortable seat, comfortable posture for your meditation. You want to have your feet on the ground, or if you're sitting cross-legged, feel that connection with the ground. Feel your bum in the chair, your seat. And take a breath. Take a nice breath. You made it here. You made it to this time. And you're going to take a moment to let go of all the stuff you've come in with. So notice, what are all the things that you're walking in with that are here as you sit down? Maybe things in your life, things going on, things that you're thinking about or feeling, sensations in your body. Notice all of those things. These things that you arrive here with. And then see, how is it to consider letting them go for a bit, for just a few minutes? So that too can bring up a question of trust. Like, do you feel that it's okay to let go of those concerns for a bit, to let them fade into the background, and to bring your focus into the moment, just sensing your body, sensing your torso upright, sensing your head floating atop your neck. Let your eyes close, relaxing your eyes, relaxing your jaw, and sensing your breathing, the movement of your torso as you breathe, And coming down into your lower belly, sensing that lower belly area. So you don't want to make yourself trust. If you feel like, oh my God, no, I need to keep thinking about this, or I can't let go of something, you want to just notice that. Notice if something makes it difficult to just relax and let yourself place your attention on the sensations of your belly. Now, there's nothing you should be finding, no right or wrong experience. So now just notice those sensations of your belly, your lower belly, the area below your belly button. Maybe you can sense your belt or your clothing there. You might feel the rise and fall of your belly wall as you breathe. I invite you to place one palm over that area, or one of your hands over that area, and then cup the other hand over it so that your hands are cupping your lower belly. And now maybe you feel the warmth of that, warmth of your hands, the contact or the pressure. And then begin to sense a little inside. And just notice, what do you find there? What can you sense? Maybe not much, maybe some kind of tingling, the fullness of your meal. And again, I'll ask you, are you okay with that? Can you trust that what you're finding is the right thing? That it's okay, whatever it is? If you can't feel anything, do you trust that that's okay? Or do you have a reservation about it? If you are feeling something, are you okay to be in touch with whatever's there? Or are you worrying about it, concerned about it? So you can see, even in these very simple movements of approaching our experience, sitting down, going quiet, letting go of things on the outside, and focusing on the sensations of our belly, there are many moments where there could be a question of trust. Can you just trust and relax that whatever's happening is okay? And like I say, that doesn't mean that you should at all. If you don't trust, perhaps you can trust that that too is okay. That it's okay to allow that, for that to be the case. And so now bring your attention to those sensations and place your focus on the sensations of your lower belly. And we'll sit quietly for a few minutes together, just sensing our lower bellies. If you notice that you wander off, that you start thinking about things, or worrying about things, or whatever it might be, as soon as you notice that, just come back. Come back to sensing your belly. continuing to sense your lower belly. Just touching those sensations with your inner touch, whatever they may be. And take one more breath into your lower belly. And with the exhale, you can release the focus. Now let your felt sense attention spread through your body. So you begin to become more aware of the sensations of your body. Sensing your belly, your pelvis, your legs, your feet. Take a breath into the lower part of your body. And then sensing from your belly up into your solar plexus, your chest, your back. Sensing your shoulders and arms. Sensing your hands. And sensing your neck and head. And take a breath from your belly into the top half of your body. Just contacting whatever sensation is there. Notice how you're feeling as you do this. Like, are you curious? Are you interested? Are you relaxed and trusting that whatever shows up is fine? Are you a bit worried that you're doing it wrong? Or that you might not find the right thing? See if you can just sense your body, just as it is, however it's showing up for you. And then add listening, hearing the sounds in your environment, my voice, perhaps your breathing. So you're sensing and listening. Then add looking. Let your eyes gently open. So you're looking, seeing your environment, screen. Same kind of open, curious. Just seeing what's there. What's it like to be in touch with that? And now I'll ask you what in some ways is like the first real question of inquiry, which is just, where are you? What's up for you? Like, what's going on with you? See if you can find a kind of friendly, curious, just contemplate that. What are you feeling? What's on your mind? Might be something from your life. It might be something from your inner process. Something that happened earlier today. Some nagging thought or conversation going in your head. Something in your body. Some kind of sensation. What's up for you? Like, where are you? What's going on for you personally right now? What's here in your inner world? And again, that question, like, is that okay? Is that okay? Is it okay that what's here is here? Are you okay with that? Do you trust that that's exactly what's here is the right thing and that's all you need to be looking at? Or do you have some idea you need to change it or fix it or get somewhere with it or stop it or limit it or control it or direct it? So this is such an interesting thing to see, right? How much do we trust our inner experience? How much can we let ourselves experience whatever it is that we're experiencing and, be conscious of it, actually experience it, feel the feelings, sense the sensations, have the thoughts, recognize the meanings, have the impulses. So inquiry from the beginning with this approach and in my book is based on this notion of friendly interest, of just being friendly and curious and interested in your inner world, interested in where you personally are, what you personally are experiencing. And implicit in that friendly interest is a certain kind of trust, right? It's difficult to be friendly and interested in something if you really don't trust that it's okay. You know what I mean? It's very hard to kind of relax and just be curious and open and, oh, let me check that out. And that's interesting. Let me explore that. When there's part of you thinking like, oh, this is terrible. This is not going to go well. This is not going to end well. I can't go here. This is bad. Don't let this happen. So this brings us to a question of trust in our experience. Like, what does it mean to trust your experience? And the truth of the matter, the fact of the matter is that when we start an inquiry, right, depends on what you've done before, but you may not know so much of the potential of your inner world, right? We have some idea, we know we have some feelings or thoughts, we know a couple of things that show up, right? And our whole personality tries to keep that in a reasonably manageable situation. But as you begin inquiring, that's going to open up. It's like you're standing on the shores of the ocean and you look out over the sea. You don't see so much, right? You see, a couple of fish. Maybe you can just glimpse the whales out there in the distance, right? But you don't really have a sense up close of what all is going on under the waves, right, in the water. And the inner world is a bit like that. So as we immerse ourselves in it and we begin exploring our thoughts and our feelings and the sensations that we're encountering and the way that we're affected and responding to things that are going on in our lives, we begin to discover more and more. So all kinds of things start showing up. We begin to encounter our judgments and our inner critic and inner dialogues. We start encountering emotional reactions, like all kinds of feelings. Maybe you didn't even know you had that whole range of feelings. I know that I get a little sad every now and again, and once in a while I get, a tad grumpy, right? And then you inquire for a couple of years and you're like, oh my God, I found this hatred. I was hating this person. I didn't know I had that inside me. Oh my God, is that okay? Is it okay? Right? My superego definitely says it's not okay, Or you start having feelings of love. I walked out and I felt like I loved everybody. Right? That's even a positive experience. So I'm not just talking about negative experiences. I felt like this love for everybody. And then I'm like, hang on, I can't feel love for them. Are you serious? Like, I can't walk down the street and be feeling love for these people, or be with my personal trainer at the gym and what? Like that's just weird, right? So there are many experiences that can start happening that can seem strange, can seem, unexpected. You start stumbling into parts of your inner world that feel like a little kid. Like, here I am working on my personal development, and I feel like an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 2-year-old. Right? This doesn't seem like progress. How is this a good thing? You know? Meantime, what's happening is that you are opening up deeper and deeper layers of your inner world. You start having concerns and sensitivities you never had before. You never worried about something. And now it seems like every time somebody says something to you that isn't quite right, you feel a little offended, a little touchy in a way that you never did before. Right? Kind of strange. So you can see what I'm pointing to, like all these different kinds of experiences and many others, like experiences of deficiency, feeling like, oh, I just haven't got any value. I have no value, right? Or I have no love, actually. I'm unlovable. Like, as I feel into my heart, the feeling is there's no love. I'm unlovable. There will never be love. Like, that's how it actually feels inside my inner world. I'm encountering a place in my soul that feels like that. Yeah. Or I'm encountering a place in myself that just feels like totally empty. There's just nothing here. What am I going to do? There's nothing here. Like, I try and find myself, I try and find my mind. There's no mind. There's just kind of this empty openness. I have to go to a meeting in 2 hours and I haven't got a mind. What am I going to do? This is not good. This is not good. Or I have an urge that I need to change something dramatically in my life. Can I allow that urge? No, I don't want to. I don't even want to think about that. Don't have that thought. Can't change anything. Like, just put that away. So I'm pointing to all these different kinds of experiences that you might encounter at some point in your inquiry, where there can be a real question of trust. Like, is it okay for me to allow this? Can I let this happen? Is it okay, A, for me to experience it, to actually just have the experience? Some experiences feel not okay, like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die. Like this, I better not do this. I better call the hospital or something, you know? Or I feel like getting in touch with some kind of trauma that's just too much. Right? I'm not going to be able to be with this. And I remember I had 20 years ago, I had a breakdown. And I don't want to get into that kind of territory again. So inquiry can open us up. It opens us up to the totality of our inner world. Right? And there are things we need to understand about that are important and useful to understand. We've touched on a couple of these in recent sessions. So in January's session, we talked about freeing the inner world from the outer world. So there's one whole category of concern about I can't allow my experience because I can't actually do it in my life. Right? Like I want to do something, but it's impossible, so I can't let myself have the experience. And it's important to recognize that when we're talking about inquiry, primarily we're talking about having an experience, letting yourself feel something or think it, right? Or even have the urge. We're not talking about actually going out and doing it, right? That comes a whole lot later. First, we want to find out, what is this urge? What is going on inside me? I feel like I want to quit my job. Okay. All right. Well, I know I can't. I have to earn money and all the rest of it, but let me feel that impulse, right? I can allow the impulse and I can find out about it. Where is it coming from inside me? What's it about? What's true for me here? And so you can allow an impulse that you couldn't really express in your life, and you can explore it inwardly. So that's one good thing to note, right? That we're talking about allowing inner experience and exploring it. That's the second thing. It's about allowing it and then exploring it, right? Nobody's even necessarily saying, if you're talking about anger, that you have to get angry. But what you do with your inquiry is explore your anger. Like, what is this anger? Let me just find out about it. Let me feel into it and discover it. And, there's a whole lot to explore and understand there. Do I know everything about it? What makes anger happen inside me? Right? There's so much to learn, so much truth to unpack that can be very liberating. So we're talking about allowing and experiencing our experience. Some experience doesn't feel good. Some experience is scary. Some experience, we just have no idea what's going to happen. Like, oh my God, I really don't know what's going to happen if I let myself go there, right? I feel like I'm going to jump over the precipice and God knows what's going to happen. Take a breath. Sense yourself. So, what can help us here? What can really help us here? One thing to notice is that each time you come to an experience that seemed a little dubious, right? That there was some part of you going like, oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea. We shouldn't go there. And you go through it in your inquiry. You actually let yourself feel it, and it turns out okay. It's very good to notice those moments. Right? So there you were feeling some kind of grief, and you're like, no, I don't want to feel this grief. I can't feel this grief. And, you give yourself time with it. Eventually you get there, you feel it, it moves through you. And, a couple of days later, a couple of months later, like you notice it's gone. That's important to notice, to take cognizance of the fact that, oh, I let something happen that didn't seem like a good idea, and it turned out okay. Now, every time we go through one of those little cycles, every time you come up to the threshold of your ego, some part of you is going like, no, I can't feel this anger, or no, I can't feel this jealousy, or no, I can't think that thought, or no, I can't have that wish. And you let yourself have the wish or the feeling or the thought. And you keep exploring, and it opens up and it turns out fine. It turns out okay. Right? Every time you do that, there is something in you that will recognize, okay, I can trust this. I can trust this process. Right? I can trust my experience. Right? And that trust needs to grow kind of organically, slowly, gently, by step entering into different experiences. Right? It's not something you want to force yourself into. You can't make yourself do it. You cannot make yourself trust. Nobody has ever made themselves trust. Right? But as you honor the distrust and you allow your distrust and you recognize the truth of it, and then you find something in you that might be willing to try it out anyway, and it turns out okay, then that distrusting part of you has an opportunity to learn a bit more, right? To discover that, oh, okay, I actually can handle that piece of my inner world. I can let myself feel that feeling or have that thought, and I'm not going to totally mess up my life, or I'm not going to fall to pieces. Or even if I do let myself fall to pieces, I fell to pieces for 20 minutes and, then I came through it and it was fine. It was okay. So this kind of trust is linked with our sense that things will be okay, that it'll actually be okay. That even if it doesn't seem like it, even if it seems like it's going to be a disaster, there is something in us that can trust, okay, I can allow this inner experience and things will turn out okay. So that kind of trust is, in a sense, what we call basic trust. Basic trust is the trust that is not dependent on the usual things that make things okay. Like, I know this is going to be okay. I can trust, right? Basic trust comes into play when you come to something that you really don't know. You genuinely don't know. Is this going to be okay? I don't know. But somewhere in my bones, somewhere deep inside, in my bones, I'm like, it's going to be okay. I kind of know deep down it's going to be okay, even though it doesn't feel like it. Right? So that's the kind of trust. In the diamond approach, we work with that kind of trust much more in depth. So there are very particular qualities of presence and psychodynamic issues from our history that come into play there that affect how that trust develops. But from the pure point of view of the practice of inquiry, right, you can look at those moments of where you weren't so sure about trusting, and then where you went through something that seemed not so okay, but then did turn out okay. And that can really help you begin to cultivate that trust so it can grow. I also want to make clear that trust means also trusting when you need to take some kind of action. So trust doesn't mean that you just sit back and allow things and, oh, I just trust everything's going to be okay. So I'll just feel this feeling because everything's going to be okay. Right? If you happen to see that, oh, goodness, I'm actually not doing so well right now. I'm becoming a bit dysfunctional in my life. Something is coming up that is actually feeling like it's too much for me and I'm not coping. Then trust expresses itself in getting the help that you need, right? The trust will go, okay, I trust that this is not feeling okay and I need help, right? I need somebody to help me here, whether it's my therapist or my teacher or my friend or, whatever it might be. So trust does not mean naively just kind of kicking back and assuming everything's fine. Trust means trusting your truth, trusting what's really feeling true to you, right? And then being intelligent with it, acting according to it. Yeah, so again, take a breath, just notice where you're at. In time, we can grow in our basic trust. And we have the possibility of discovering that really anything that you can experience, you can experience. You can allow any feeling, any thought, any sensation, anything is possible. It's possible to discover that. For those of us with difficult histories and lots of trauma and all of that, that journey is a long journey. For everyone, it's a long journey. Let me be clear about that. For everyone, it's a long journey. But, we in time get to digest and metabolize all of our history, all of those difficult feelings, all of that stuff. But it can be possible. Right? It can be possible to discover that freedom. It happens the more we can allow ourselves simply to be where we are, to trust that whatever's going on is exactly the thing that needs to be going on. So whether it's wonderful or shitty or easy or difficult or marvelous, what's actually true for you, what's really going on for you personally, that is the thing you need to be closest to, right? To explore, to be with, to be open to. That is your experience. So it's a profound understanding. It's one that actually takes, I think, many years to really develop and cultivate. But it's a beautiful possibility. The more we trust, the more free and fluid our inquiry becomes, because it doesn't matter what's coming up. You're like, okay, this. Let's go with this, right? That's what's here. I'm open to it. I'm curious. I want to find out about it. I'm having some experience or feeling or sensation that I've never imagined before. I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's go there, right? So it can bring that kind of bold, courageous adventuring. And without it, we will tend to be more hanging on. We're like controlling, limiting, not letting ourselves be with whatever it is that we're actually with. Such a beautiful and simple and subtle and difficult practice, simply being where you actually are and exploring it. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to do to go and check this out a bit for yourselves. So you're going to get into groups of 3. So it'd be nice to hear from a couple of people. So you'll be in a group of 3, and each of you will have 5 minutes, right? Just 5 minutes. So it's quite short. And in your 5 minutes, you want to explore your experience of trust in your inquiry, if you are familiar with inquiry. And if you are not familiar with inquiry, you can just say in your inner world, right? In your feelings, your thoughts, like how comfortable are you? How much do you trust that it's okay to allow with whatever's going on for you, right? So that's really the exploration. Have you come up against things, if you do inquire, or this might even be if you don't inquire, but have you come up against things in the past that you thought were not a good idea to explore, that seemed like you shouldn't go there, into those feelings or those thoughts, or digging around in that history or whatever it is? Some part of you didn't trust it would be okay, and then it turned out fine. Have you had that experience? Like, see if there are times you can recognize that, right? And see how it is. Like, how does it affect you to recognize that? And then see if there are areas where you tend to limit your inquiry now, like where you don't feel trust now. Where do you try to control it? Where do you not simply relax and allow what's there to be there? So it's a fair bit to look into. But the main thing is just looking into trust in your inquiry. And if you've had the experience of not trusting something, or of coming to something difficult and then going into it and then it turning out fine. Okay, you want to see if you recognize that, if that's happened for you. Okay, so that'll be 5 minutes each. Whole thing will take 15 minutes. And so what we'll do, if you're not going to do the exercise, you don't have to, not everybody has to, then drop off the call now and rejoin us in 20 minutes. That's what I would suggest you do, and we'll have a discussion then. If you're staying on the call now, then we're going to assume you're going to be in the exercise, so please stay on the call. Michael will put you into groups of 3. Maybe there'll be a group of 4, in which case you split up the time a little differently. So do, or maybe let's, because it's short, let's do, if there's a group of 4, rather do 2 groups of 2, I think, because it's quite short. And yeah, go and check it out. Go see what you find. And then we'll come back here and, we'll have 15 minutes plus a few minutes around that to say hello and meet and greet. So we'll be back here in, say, 18 minutes or so, something like that. All right. right. And just a reminder that what gets shared in a person's inquiry is confidential. So please don't share what somebody else says. You can share your own process, but don't share anyone else's. And yeah, one last thing, which is if you're one of the witnesses, if you're a silent witness there, when the one person is doing their inquiry, the other people are just silent witnesses. So you don't want to interject or comment or anything like that. Just sit quietly, let them go wherever they go. Be open and curious, and see if you can trust that they're going wherever they need to go. All righty. Okay. See you back here shortly. 18 minutes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Back to the boat. So we got some time for some questions and sharing and comments. I'm very curious. How was it for you to look at this? What do you see about trust in your own inquiry, in your own inner experience? Let's see who's got something to say or ask or share. If you've got something, then raise your electronic hand. That will be good. And then we can see you. So Dan has his hand raised. Hi, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, great. Great. Good to see you.
I was just noticing that um, trust seems to be my lack thereof of trust seems to be related to a particular issue with anything unknown.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that was, I guess, kind of a new realization, although it seems to make pretty good sense. But
Uh-huh.
maybe wondering if you could speak to that.
Yeah. Well, what makes you, do you have a sense what makes you not trust the unknown? How come you don't trust the unknown?
Well, it seems I think I've preconceived ideas about what, maybe previous experiences of, okay, you didn't know what you were walking into. So I'm thinking and I'm searching for, uh, it's like I have, anxieties, and often they're seemingly not related to anything that I can really put a finger on.
Yeah.
So what my anxiety is related to is unknown.
Mm.
So I kind of get into the experience of anxiety and lose I think my sense of trust that it's going to go anywhere or result in anything.
Okay. So, okay. So two things to touch on there. One is that, like you said, somewhere in there, you probably had some past experience where you walked into something, maybe an actual circumstance, not just an inner experience, like, and that didn't go so well, right? You kind of trusted and things didn't go well. So how is it to just recognize that? Oh, that's kind of part of what makes you not trust now.
Well, it's kind of like, well, that knowing that doesn't really help with trusting. Or, well, let me just sit with that a bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I can understand that maybe there was something that happened in the past,
Yeah.
but that's the difficulty with this anxiety is that it's not like, oh, yeah, I have a fear of heights. So when I
Uh,
get near heights, that's the obvious reason.
yes.
Um,
Right.
with
So the
these sensing,
anxiety.
yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's the anxiety itself and the sense of not knowing kind of what it is and what's it about. Yeah. Yeah. So that not knowing, so trust and not knowing is an interesting question. Like, can you allow yourself to trust and not knowing and to allow the experience of the anxiety? And again, remember, we're talking about to explore it. So it sounds like you can let the anxiety happen, right? You can allow the feeling of it. Sounds like you have some capacity for that. But do you then get like curious about it? You go, well, okay, so as I'm feeling this anxiety, like what is the part of me that's feeling anxious? Right? Where's that coming from?
I think probably more often than not, I'll get into it and I'll kind of, like you were describing earlier in the talk, oh, I don't know. I don't think I want to go there. And, um, because it's kind of so amorphous, it's difficult to kind of, well, what is, what particular, I mean, I often try to stay with the sensation of anxiety in my body,
Yeah.
um, which can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it seems like, you know, sometimes it feels like being curious about, staring at a black wall.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
fearless, it's featureless, there's not really much to be curious about.
Right. There seems to be not much there, some kind of not very much at all. So that might be interesting, right? So you notice that you're like, oh, okay, well, it feels like a wall, or it feels like not much, or feels amorphous, right? So you're beginning to discern various sort of features of it. You just say featureless, but you can tell it's amorphous. You can tell there's a not knowing, right? There's a sense of not knowing. You can feel the sensations in your body. So it's possible to kind of hang out with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it's that moment where you kind of think, well, I'd just rather not go there. Right. That's the point to kind of also then be curious about, like, what makes that happen? Right. And have there been times when you did go there and what happened?
Well, apparently I'm kind of like there right now. And
Oh,
one of the descriptive terms, it's like an abyss,
oh, okay.
featureless black abyss.
Okay.
Um, and I'm recognizing that, I guess, resistance.
Oh,
I'm also probably more open to it at this moment than I usually am.
okay. Cool. Yeah. What if you just let yourself be in a featureless black abyss?
Well,
Like,
that sounds wonderful.
yeah. Okay. Just hang out there. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, how is that? Take a
Well,
break.
I'm
Um,
aware in the super ego going, come on, dude, is this where you want to hang out in your life? So there's a
Okay,
judgment.
so that's the concern. So
Yeah,
there's a concern that you're going to like hang out there for your whole life or something, right?
right. Or get stuck here,
Get
or
stuck there. Okay, so you don't trust that something about it, will
yes.
change.
I don't know if it's about it or about me in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of, this is the crux. It's right. I'm in it. I'm aware of it,
Hmm.
sensations in my body. And then
Hmm.
there's kind of a resistance. And I don't, I guess part of me wants to know, am I able to let go of this resistance? Or is it
Okay.
just built in?
Oh, you want to just be curious about the resistance? Like, oh, resistance, that's interesting. What am I resisting? Right? How am I resisting it? Just continue to explore. You can't make yourself stop resisting, right? But what you can do is just unpack the resistance, like really, really explore it. Yeah. How does it show up? What does it feel like? How come you're doing it? But exploring those things kind of from the inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as bad as it usually is right now.
Right. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is.
It is interesting, hey?
It
Yeah.
is. I can actually say that. I should probably file that away. There
Right.
is
Note
interest here where
yourself.
there isn't usually.
Yeah. Great. Sounds good, Dad. Hang out with that and see where that goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for your question. Ellen.
Hi.
Hi,
Um,
Ellen.
I was I was noticing that I have a kind of a trust that if I go inside, that what I find will be I'll be glad I found it. But
Mhm.
what comes up for me that feels much more difficult is to do that with somebody else.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, it starts to get quite scary. And yet I notice that if my quite limited experience, I'm very new to inquiry, I
Mhm.
notice that I, it seems to take me much further
Mhm.
than just reflecting on my own.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting. Lots of interesting things there. So, first question, how is it to notice, oh, it gets scary, there's fear? Is it okay to allow that?
uh, yeah, just about. It's uncomfortable. I
Uh-huh.
feel it in my belly.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So fear, not your favorite feeling, right? Scariness.
it
And
feels.
then see, so that's the first step, because if you can, if it's like, okay, I don't like this, but I can be with it, right? And you can get curious about it, like what feels scary about it, or what makes it scary.
What it feels like is that I might get in trouble. Like I'm not allowed. It's like I'm not allowed to be small and scared. I've got to pretend to be a grown up or something like that. That's what it feels like.
Oh, very good. Right. Right. So there's some kind of something going on in your psyche making you feel like you have to pretend to be a grown up, and it's actually not okay to be where you are. That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were kind of to distill that down to if somebody was saying that to you, so you say this comes up when there are other people around,
Mm.
right? What do you imagine they're kind of saying to you? If you're there as the scared little being,
Don't be silly.
okay, don't be silly.
Mm.
Don't be silly. Hmm.
Yeah, and also don't let it show. Don't be weak. I
Okay.
think something
Oh,
around that.
those familiar kind of messages for you?
Um, yeah, I could really feel my dad
Oh,
in
okay.
the
There's
last bit. Yeah.
your dad's voice, his kind of
Mm.
influence.
Yeah.
Okay. How is it to recognize that, oh, those messages come from impressions from your dad?
Uh, it makes me feel quite soft or kind of squashy, loving. I feel great, sort of makes me feel a great surge of compassion for Dad, trying to keep
Oh,
me safe.
okay. Uh-huh. Right. That's interesting. So feel
Yeah.
that compassion.
Mm.
Let that happen. And as that happens, how do you feel now about allowing yourself to feel small and scared?
It
Or
feels really different, except I've stopped feeling small and scared. I've started feeling like more expansive.
oh, so you don't feel small and scared anymore.
No, no,
Okay.
not in this second. No.
But at this moment, right. So to just notice that there was an experience of feeling small and scared,
Yeah.
that you weren't sure if you could trust that, if that would be okay, but you could just about. And you went through it and you unpacked what was making it happen. You saw the whole dynamic of this thing with your dad, and something's opened.
Mm.
How is it to grok that? To
Oh,
really,
it's fantastic. Feels so nice. I mean, where I am at the moment feels very nice.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
Right. So for what it's worth to name that, that was a little brush with your, what we often call your inner critic, your superego,
Mm,
right? There, you know the term, okay? So there it was.
mm,
But you can see how just allowing yourself to go there, because even that we can go, oh, well, I shouldn't be having my superego, or it's not okay to,
mm,
but even just allowing each step of it, exploring it, unpacking it,
mm.
the experience opens up.
Yeah. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Ellen. All right. Yeah, any others? Anyone else got something to share? Or... It's kind of an amazing thing that when we eventually can allow our experience, it always opens up into something good. Like the bottom line, when you get there all the way, and admittedly, sometimes you have to go pretty deep and pretty far to digest the all the way. But when you go all the way, there's always something good at the bottom of it. Naomi, go ahead.
Hi,
Bye.
um, hi, Dominique. Haven't been here in a long time.
Ah, well, welcome back.
Thank you. I just really love that exercise. I didn't like it at first, but then when I got into it, I learned some things um, and I wished I would have had just a few more minutes. We always saying, "Oh, I wish we had just a little more time."
Mhm.
Um, but as I'm sitting here, one of the things that I want to just verbalize, express, um, that I have a hard time trusting this sensation inside of my head and here,
Mm.
um, like a fluttering. And I just wanted to presence it or just be
Mm.
out, just say it because it's been happening a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah,
What makes you not trust it? How come you don't trust it? Or what don't you trust about it?
um, just that there's this abruptness, like this break in here in my head, in my mind.
Mhm.
And I'm getting a little emotional right now. Um,
Okay to let that happen.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's like it's an insecurity. It's like, oh, oh, it's happening again. What's going on in here?
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see. See if it's possible to just sense what's going on there and just describe it. Just
Okay.
describe.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Um, there's like a wavering sensation. Okay.
Mhm.
And it's hard to differentiate. Is it just in the mind, like the forehead? Oh, it's wavering. And
Mm.
then and then there's this question like, well, is this my inner ear? Well, is this an instability in this part of my upper spine inside the head that when I'm still recovering from 20 years ago from a very serious injury?
Uh-huh.
And as I recovered all of these last 20 some years, I've had memories surface, and that's how I've healed the cervical spine,
Okay.
and which is almost healed.
Okay. So what you're saying, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So there's a concern with the felt sense experience because of you had an actual physical kind of injury, right? So that makes sense that there's that concern, right?
Right, right. And there's this other knowing that something's coming through, if you will.
Right. So see for now, like you're it's healing up fine. It's in a reasonably good place. See if you can just recognize that, okay, this is just an experience. It's just something happening in my sensate experience.
Oh,
Right.
right.
And see if you just let it happen. Like, what if you just sense the wavering, like let it waver?
Okay. It took the fear out of it.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's good.
There's
Oh,
some fear in there,
yeah.
reifying the fear. I just had to say that.
Reifying the fear and reifying the sensation, going, oh my God, this means something about my injury, And that's
Yes.
common. Or somebody will experience something like they're experiencing a solid mass in their belly, and they're like, oh my God, I'm getting cancer. But no, there's some kind of presence, right? So for the moment, you just let it happen and then just describe it. So just hang out with it a little and say a bit more.
Okay. Um, there's there's a clarity here. There's a clearness that's coming through and a peace. Wow, that's pretty nice.
Sense the clarity. So if you
Okay.
sense the clarity and the peace directly, just kind of feel into that, into the sensations of peace and clarity.
It's like trusting coming into that part of my body.
Right.
I just trust that
Right.
I can do this. And I'm feeling that there's an emotional stability, there's a physical stability, and some sort of an integration, I believe, I
Oh,
would say.
beautiful. What do you
Yeah.
actually sense in your forehead there?
Right now,
Yeah,
it's pretty smooth.
feels smooth.
Yeah, there's that interference is like it's not there.
Okay, feel the smoothness. Let the smoothness happen.
I want to say I'm feeling the freedom,
Uh-huh.
sort
Okay.
of a freedom. Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You're
Feels
welcome.
I really appreciate you and your group and see if I can come on more often.
Oh, you're welcome, Naomi. Yeah, anytime.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, it's often what we see that it's as much our concerns and like reactions to our experience itself that kind of, in some ways, like are the challenge, right? The actual, when we eventually get to the experience itself, it's like, oh, okay, it's not bad, or maybe it's even quite nice, right? But I see this also a lot in, especially in people who have, not especially, but also in people who have done a lot of trauma work. And they recognize, oh, okay, this is my trauma. And they get concerned when they're getting close to the trauma. And yet, oftentimes, when they actually then go there, it turns out maybe there was some anger or there was some frustration. And they express the frustration or the anger, and then it's kind of gone. Like the thing just moves through, right? But because we've got worried about it and put it in a box and don't want to let it happen, we can get tied up in all kinds of knots with the experience. So again, it's not to take trauma lightly or anything like that, or injury trauma. I mean, these are very real things. But little by little, we might see that, oh, okay, actually, it's okay. Actually, I can let it happen. Yeah, Annika. Oh, sorry, Miranda. Miranda, your hand was the same color as your background. So, yes. Yes.
Uh, um, I was just going to say that once or twice kind of had a red flag that's come up with which kind of goes, this is not safe to go there because of my mental breakdown, as you mentioned, and periods of psychosis, and that perhaps this is going to tip me over the edge and it's not sensible. And actually, I've not found that that's been the case.
Hmm.
But I kind of realized listening to people that yeah, it's like a layer on top of whatever the issue is.
Mhm.
And that's what I have to work with first, is why that red flag comes up in the first place, and what's going on around that, because it's quite frightening.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's great to see. Right. So it's almost the secondary layer of the reaction to the underlying experience that you have to deal with first.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. I think that's great. I think that's often the case. Yeah.
Not that I've dealt with it.
Cool.
But
And you've had experiences where, that's gone on red alert
yeah.
and it's turned out fine.
Yeah.
As you say, I think the thing then is just to bring more direct consciousness to the red alert experience itself.
Yeah.
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 Beautiful. Oh, yeah, very good.
It's nice to see you back.
Yeah, you too. Good to be back. Yeah. See you in a week or so, hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it one more, Annika. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I noticed for me that I sometimes have the opposite experience. So that there's like a really strong emotion, like, I don't know, like never-ending pain or something like that. And that I'm a bit like pushy, like I want to jump into it and I really want to feel it and like going through it quickly. And yeah, what I figured out is yeah, that it's good for me. For example, if I do an inquiry together with support with someone else, or yeah, if I approach the topic slower, like maybe watching it a bit, or yeah, but not jumping in directly, and like being yeah, nice to myself and
Beautiful.
taking things slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. That sounds really good. So again, trusting the timing in your experience, that
Yeah.
your experience opens up in the right timing as it needs to. Yeah, that's great. That's really good to see. Yeah. Yeah, our experience will open up more when we're, gentle with it and open to it rather than kind of, okay, I'm going to put my boots on and we're going to go in there and sort this out.
Yeah, I don't want to be a coward or no. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's good to see. And part of what you can clarify in that situation, what you can become a bit clearer about, I don't know why that whiteboard popped up. Let's close that. Is you can clarify basically who's the self, what's the sense of self that's doing that, right? So there's some feeling of you that's going, oh, I don't want to be afraid. I'm not going to be, right? So where's that coming from, right? And probably that will be some, some historic sense of yourself, some reaction. So to make a little space for her too, she also needs some attention and understanding. Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Annika. Okay, everyone, that's our time. Yeah, lovely to be with you again. So we'll do this all again in a month. We have a series of topics lined up, so we'll post them on the Dive-In website and on the Ridwan portal and anywhere else that might be useful. And the recordings all get posted to YouTube, so you can go and see them there. And you'll get a newsletter, I'm sure, when that happens. And yeah, thank you for your interest in inquiry and your interest in your own inner world. It really is, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's part of our gift, really. It really is a gift. The more we're interested in our inner world and its truth, the more we give to everyone, really. It's a real service. So yeah, thank you. Nice to see you, and until next time.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you, Dom.
Thank you, everybody.
Done.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You.
Thank you. Bye.